I hear some crazy stuff in your house going on. What's up, everybody? How you guys doing out there in podcast land? Thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Mark Demayo. Welcome to Police Off the Cuff After Hours. I'm sitting here with my co-host, who has his own podcast called Mike the Nouveun. He's the prodigy, Mike Cologne. What's up, Mike?
Good to be here. Always a pleasure to sit in, and looking forward to part two of Mr. Maysonet tonight.
Mike in the tiny room in the attic, Cologne.
Yeah, that's right.
And
I hear a lot of feedback coming from you, Angel.
Are we good now?
It's a Thursday night. It's December. You know, he's got the family. I saw the dogs in the background.
I get it. I think that, I hear the family in the background. Yeah. Our guest tonight is a repeat offender. He's back again. We're so lucky to have him. He's a retired NYPD detective. He's also been on. He's a regular on Fox News as a contributor, a talking head. Put your hands together for Angel Maysonet, folks. Let him feel the love. What's up, Angel?
Thank you, boys.
I'm so happy to have you back on. I really, I keep in touch with your Instagram. I love everything that you have to say. I feel like we're agreement. We agree on almost everything. Like sometimes you're like exactly saying what I want to say.
Can I do a special little hello to the prodigy, Mr. Mike Colon? The boy's doing big things. He's got like commissioners and chiefs and all these people on his podcast, and he's doing big things. And Mike, God bless you, bro. Bendiciones. Good for you, man. You're doing your thing. Thank you,
kid. I love Mike, man. I don't know him for that long, but I know. I know he's a good kid. He's the prodigy. That's all it is. Yeah. Let's give a shout out to the people that have tuned in already. Joe Murray was here bright and early. Sitting in class. First time he's ever been early to class. Last orders, please. Yes. Hello, last order, please. Alicia B. Hello, Alicia B. Let's see who else is here. Peter Pranzo. Wouldn't be a show without Peter Pranzo. I don't even think we could get on the air if Peter was sitting in or joining us. Maui Swift is here. Adam Apple. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. We have a very exciting show. So many topics to talk about. So many things going on, not only in New York, but across the country that involve law enforcement. So let's just start with we'll go back a week. The shooting, the guy running over the people in Wisconsin there, out on $1,000 bail. Part of bail reform that's around the country that's failing miserably.
This is a perfect example of what I say all the time. Mark and Mike, you both follow me on Instagram, Twitter. We're being bamboozled as a culture, right? Latinos, blacks, we're being bamboozled because this is under the guise of social justice, right? And who's it hurting? It's hurting blacks and Latinos. These people are being released into general population, right? And there's no consequences for them. This guy was out on $1,000 bail for an attempted murder, for a felony bail jumping, right? And he's a left-wing Black Lives Matter extremist. Okay, this was terrorism. Okay, he wanted to kill the white people, and that's what he did. He ran over white people, and he went to this parade and he killed white folks. I mean, let's call it what it is.
I haven't heard that once. Not once on any news outlet. Not even the thought of it. Not a thought of it. Not an idea. It could it possibly be? And not only that, but how quick was the story disregarded, or the way the media chose to report the story that it was a car accident?
We're not in the business. Neither one of you and myself are in the business of starting a race war, but we have to call a spade a spade. This is, if he was a white, right-wing extremist Proud Boy, this would have been all over the news, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, let's call it what it is. Mm-hmm. And now because he's a black male who had been locked up for trying to run over his baby mama with a car and was out on $1,000 bail, right? here we are, and this is what we're facing.
Why bother posting? Why giving $1,000 bail? Why? What is that? What is that $1,000 with this guy's record, and the fact that he just tried to run over, like you said, his baby's mama? What the fuck does $1,000 do? Because unless I don't know how it is there, but over here, if it's $1,000, you only got to give him half, which is $500. What? It's what? Well, just let him go. Just let him go.
Did you see that Black Lives Matter raised like $200,000 for this guy's bail? Like, I mean, listen, this is why I always say, and again, if you follow me, you see it. And Mike, I know you're more active on Twitter. You see what I say. Mm-hmm. I will always support Black lives. I will never support Black Lives Matter. This is why. It's a fucking farce. We're being bamboozled. These people only care when it fits their agenda. There is no rhyme or reason to their shit. There's no rhyme or reason to their nonsense. And if we continue down this road as Hispanics, Latinos, Black people, Afro-Latinos, whatever label you want to put on it, if we continue to allow them to bamboozle us this way, we're never going to progress as a people. Because the only people that are suffering, listen, go into any urban city in this country, Detroit, Cleveland, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, New York, everywhere, you have 95% of the victims are Black and brown people, and 95% of the people committing the homicides and the crimes are Black and brown people. What am I missing? What am I missing?
It's difficult because when I saw the number being $1,000, I was kind of perplexed because I'm like, okay, well, usually I can understand, not that it makes it right. If a guy stole some food or stole something from a grocery store, it makes sense to have a bail number like that because it's a minor crime. Doesn't make it right, but okay. But I'm like, it's a pretty serious crime. And on top of that, I'm not laughing at the situation. The situation's horrible, obviously, and our thoughts are with those families. But the headline from the Washington Post, which has lost its way to say the least, was hilarious in that. And they got destroyed for this on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it, Angel. It was like, there's a moment of silence this week after a car just ran down. I'm like, somebody commented immediately the first reply, that those damn cars,
Like, right.
What are we doing here?
Right. And listen, again, right, we don't want to stoke flames. We're not here to antagonize the garbage. We're not here to be gaslighting people. We have to look at the facts. These are facts. These news outlets, these media outlets that report whenever there's a Black person who's a victim and the white person is the perpetrator, they go out of their minds. But when there is Black on Black crime, Hispanic on Hispanic, and listen, I'm not saying that white people don't kill white people. You go to the Florida Panhandle, 95% of the crimes committed in the Florida Panhandle against white people are by white people. Mm-hmm. But let's look at the demographics in every urban city in this country, right? Every urban city in this country, every ghetto in this country is Black and Hispanic. And the people who are killing the Black and Hispanic people are Black and Hispanic people. That's not white supremacy. That's not lack of funding, right? There's nothing a white person can do in this country that a Black person can't. That is a cultural issue, and it's good versus evil, bottom line. Because you know what? 95% of the people who live in urban areas are good people. They want their police. They want the cops to be proactive. They want anti-crime. They want stop, question, and frisk because they know that that's the only way that they're going to get their kids to school in the morning, that they're going to get to the train, that they're going to get to the bus, that they're going to go to work, is when the cops are in there doing their job and being proactive and stopping these fucking people who have guns and who are looking to rob them. I mean, every video we see, right? Look at every video in New York City of assaults, bricks, people throwing Asian people downstairs, everything. It's Black
yelling
and brown
at them
people.
at random, shouting horrendous things.
I love my culture. I love salsa music. I love Black people. I have Black nieces and nephews. It's not about being self-loathing. It's about the truth. This is a cultural issue. We're teaching our kids that having this criminal mindset and fucking assaulting each other and hurting each other is acceptable, and it's not. It's not. It shouldn't be.
If I bring up a funny point, it's just from a comedic point. There's always a joke where you can, I'll give you the crime, you give me what color committed it. You know what I'm saying? And the joke is always like, if it's a serial killer, it's a white person. And then, but there's so much truth to that. The other day I was watching. All I did was read the headline. 30-something-year-old woman beats up 15-year-old girl. So then I looked at it a little closer. And you don't want to prejudge, but right off the bat, you start saying to yourself, "Well, who does this?" You know what I'm saying?
Who's doing it? Yeah.
And it was her and her daughter jumping another girl. So it's disturbing. But I want to talk about the bail reform issue, because to me that is it's what's ruining even the district attorneys from that town. I can't even. How do you say that name? Waukesha.
Waukesha, yeah.
Waukesha, yeah.
Waukesha, yeah.
He said that the bail was unusually low. And I understand, like as well as I do, Angel, when we talk about these ADAs, I don't know, sometimes they have really big caseloads. They stand there in the courtroom, they bring defendant after defendant in. If you're in arraignments, and you got a stack of cases like this. This is in New York, and you just go to the top. You read it. You're reading the top page. That's it. Okay. All right. For this, and then you close it. You might look at the rap. You might look at the rap sheets, but when you look at that guy's rap sheet, it's just not one page. It's kind of falling out. It's on the floor. You got to keep picking it up to look. At that point right now, $5,000 sounds a whole lot better than $1,000. $10,000 sounds a whole lot better than $5,000.
The problem is, and this has been since the inception of this bullshit bail reform, is that they don't take into account the criminal history of the individual, right? They just look at face value and say, hey, this is a black person, this is a Hispanic person, this is a marginalized person because of the corrupt system that we're dealing with. So we're going to give this person the benefit of the doubt because their skin color is 2 tones darker than the McGillicuddy, and we're going to give them a free pass. So we're going to give them $1,000 bail as opposed to $10,000 or $50,000 bail, right? And we, as a society, as a culture, we're being bamboozled. We look at this and we say, hey, this is being done to help our black brothers and sisters and our brown brothers and sisters, but who are they being released to? Well, they're being released into the neighborhoods to mess with our black and brown kids and our black and brown people.
Now that you mention it, he ran over his baby's mama. So you should have posted bail slightly higher, a lot higher, for one reason
from
alone,
the beginning,
just so domestic he cools violence. Off in jail, doesn't come out, and this time finish her off.
Yeah.
By posting $1,000 bail, he's gonna suppose he comes out and he goes right after her again.
O.J. Simpson determined the way domestic violence cases were handled in this country right after that incident happened.
Yeah.
Domestic incident reports started with the NYPD. Mark, you know this, right? We started having to fill out every time we were called to a domestic violence or an alleged domestic violence, we had to fill out a DIR, right?
Somebody was going.
Right, exactly. This is elementary. It's not rocket science. It's elementary. If there's a domestic involved, if there is husband, wife, baby mama, daddy, baby mama, whatever it is, however you want to identify, whatever fucking woke way you want to put it, there has to be accountability, and you have to keep the perp away from the victim because it only escalates and gets worse. And they dropped the ball. They dropped the ball, and they admitted they dropped the ball. But where's the accountability? There's no accountability unless you are a white police officer or a white politician in this country who isn't on the left. There's no accountability for you. There's absolutely no accountability. You have no accountability. You have no consequences. You have nobody to answer to, right? And there are ready-made excuses for you. I'm not here to be an extreme right-winger. I'm more center. I'm not here to bash the left, but it is what it is. And at this point, it's good versus evil. It's not about right versus left. It's not about Democrat versus Republican. We all have families. There are Democrats that have kids. There are Democrats that have grandparents, right? They have loved ones that live in the city that they want protected. There are Republicans the same way. This is not about left versus right or Democrat versus Republican. This is about good versus evil, period. That's it.
I agree.
Social media hasn't helped either. Social media is a cesspool, especially Twitter. I don't have to tell you, Angel. You know, I follow you. I see the stuff that you deal with sometimes.
Yes, Mike.
You know, so I'll tell you, even some of the episodes that I do, even though I'm proud of the people I get on, you know, I don't mention the fact that I do a lot of NYPD interviews because, you know, I don't want to catch the flack just by doing work and hustling from somebody that has a gripe that is just a silly gripe to have. But I'll ask you, you mentioned anti-crime earlier. You know, anti-crime will be coming back. But my question is, on the surface, that's good if it does. But how effective is anti-crime going to be if people are just, it's essentially a game of catch and release and they're going to be right back out anyway?
So the thing that people don't realize about anti-crime is you can be an effective, proactive anti-crime cop, and you could still treat people with dignity and respect, and you could still get them to walk away from the interaction happy. Right, the two are mutually exclusive. Right, the problem is when people start making it a race issue. Right, listen, if I work in Chinatown, if I work in the 5th precinct, the majority of the people I'm going to be pulling over or stopping for crimes, guess what? They're going to be Asian. Right, if the majority of people, when I work in the ghetto, if I work in an urban area which is mostly Black and Latino, guess who I'm going to be stopping? I'm going to be stopping Black and Latinos, right? We have to understand that there is a way to police with dignity and respect. If these cops go out there and they just want to be an occupying army and they just want to fuck with people, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You have to go out there and you have to be able to take the extra 2 minutes it takes and say, hey, Central, 10-5 the description. Tell me what the guy we're looking for. Tell me who this is. Male, black, white t-shirt, blue jeans. Okay, dude, you're wearing black t-shirt, you're wearing white t-shirt, blue jeans. This is why I stopped you. It's all good. I apologize. Go on your way. If people don't understand that that's the way you have to deal with this, it's never going to work. All right? Eric Adams is making a lot of promises. We all know politicians, left and right wing, Republican and Democrat and independent and whoever, they make promises, and once they get where they got to go, they fucking forget.
Well, let's take a look at this video that I got right here. Wait. Hold on 1 second. That's not what I wanted to. Here we go. Because this is exactly what we're talking about right now.
What do we got?
NBC New York.
In connection with the George Floyd Black Lives Matter protest from last summer. A new CCRB report shows that more than 60 are up for disciplinary issues, and about half would even lose their badges. These 4 enrolled in Manhattan with that story. Tracy.
Well, Michael, after all of this came out, a lot of people were wondering how Police Commissioner Dermot Shea would react to this report. We heard from him this morning, and while he praised the efforts of those officers during those George Floyd protests, he also talked about what he thinks should happen next for those officers who could be suspended or possibly even fired. Now, as you mentioned, all of that comes after that CCRB report that recommended 65 police officers should face discipline in connection to those Black Lives Matter protests just last year. 37 officers, I should say, will face or possibly could face the highest level of discipline that could result in loss of vacation days, suspension, possibly even termination. 28 more officers were ordered to undergo more training, or they could also face the loss of vacation days as well. Now, the CCRB reviewed over 100 cases in coming to this decision and more than 300 complaints. While the police commissioner maintained that his officers did a good job during that time, he also gave his thoughts on what he thinks should happen next.
We were expecting, discussions with CCRB, and we anticipated some cases coming down. The officers will have their day in court. It's going to be tried by Civilian Complaint Review Board personnel. If they're found guilty, we have a discipline matrix, Pat, that over 90% of the time, by CCRB's own records, we're in agreement.
We also heard from the union representing members of the NYPD. They blasted the report. The PBA in part said, quote, Police officers were sent out with no plan, no strategy, and no support into a dangerous environment created by politicians' irresponsible rhetoric. As a result, dozens of cops were injured, and now dozens more are being made into scapegoats. Mayor de Blasio is who they're accusing of using the CCRB for his own benefit. He also, like the commissioner, suggested that these officers go through their due process. We're expecting another report from the CCRB that could follow up on what they think should happen next and in the future as well.
You know, sorry, go ahead, Angel.
It's a lose-lose, right? We heard of a win-win. It's a lose-lose. What do? I mean, you're responding to angry mobs, right? There's no accountability for them. If you riot, if you carry an AR-15 into Wisconsin trying to protect property and you shoot somebody trying to kill you, you're the bad guy. But these people are rioting, they're looting, they're hurting each other. They're hurting other black and brown folks. They're burning down businesses. You have the police that are put there. They're the front line, right? They are there to protect life and property, right? What can they do? They're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't.
Well, if you notice, one thing she brought up that she said was interesting. First of all, this is very frustrating for police officers because well, you know, there were thousands and thousands of police officers out there, only 65 of them.
Yeah.
But who's CCRB anyway to be doing investigations?
Listen.
Who's watching these tapes? Who's evaluating this? I don't even know what training do they have?
I got on the job in 1992. My first 2 years on the job, I had over 30 force complaints. You know why? Because I was out there making collars. I was out there pissing people off. And 99% of the people that were making complaints against me were the people I was locking up. When you're a proactive police officer and when you're out there busting your ass and you're doing the job, guess what? You're going to get complaints. You're going to get complaints. Ask me how many of those were substantiated.
None.
Zero.
Well,
none.
What about what Shay's saying there? Like, we usually find ourselves in agreement. So what is he already giving you? The forecast of what's going to happen. Okay, CCRB has made these claims. The cops will have their day in court, which we already know is a kangaroo court. And we usually find ourselves in agreement. So if you're one of these, let's say half of them, let's say unsubstantiated half. So now you're down to 30 plus. Yeah. I'd say that maybe 5 people are going to be found guilty of some nonsense.
It's the fallacy of the predetermined outcome. Mikey, you know this. Mike, the prodigy, he knows this, right? It's the fallacy of the predetermined outcome. You can't say, well, if this happens, this is supposed to. No, that's not true. Okay. The bottom line is 99% of the cops that are out there in this country are doing their job to the best of their ability, and 99% of them are going to be exonerated if they use force or if they put their hands on people. This is the way it goes. This is what happens. This is it. That's it. It's simple as that.
You know, when Dermot Shea inevitably leaves next month and goes and takes a private sector gig, I'm going to let a few months go by, and then I'm going to reach out to him. I'm going to try to get him on the show. And if I do get him on the show, one of the things I'm going to ask him is, when he took the job in December of 2019 from O'Neill, if you knew what was going to ensue next and the chaos you would face for those 2 years, because I do feel sorry for the guy, knowing that, would you still have taken the job? Because you talk about somebody that crap end of the stick, it's him.
You know what his answer is going to be?
What?
Yes. And you know why?
Why?
Because he's going to be making $600,000 a year in the private sector, working for Viacom or Microsoft
as head of security
or some Silicon Valley. Exactly. So this is what people don't see, right? And I don't know the guy personally. I worked for his brother when I was in JTTF. Jim Shea was my CO. He was a fantastic guy, a cop's cop. Whenever he saw me walk into the room, he would stand up and say, "The real police are here," because he knew what I brought to the table. But the bottom line is, when you get into a police commissioner spot, you're a politician. There's no two ways about it. There is no, you want to save face and defend your rank and file. There's no. you answer to the Blasios of the world, and you are a politician. And that's what you sign up for. You're signing a deal with the devil. And if you're comfortable and you can sleep at night, God bless you. You know,
if you're one of those
that's it.
65 cops that are up for CCRB,
go
guess
to Florida,
what?
Baby.
Might be time for a change.
Go to
this
DeSantis.
is actually on the DA's website, Twitter page. Time for a change. Come to Lakeland. New York is losing the finest because some elected officials have created a society of no consequences and division that coddles criminals and vilifies cops. Police need support. So if you're one of these cops, if you had enough, Florida is not only going to give their cops a raise, but they love some New York City cops, man.
If I wasn't old and fucked up, I'd be my ass.
Me too, man.
Work.
Me too.
You know?
And how about this one? Look at this. San Francisco residents hire private security to stave off crime. We don't feel safe in our neighborhood. If you can go back to past episodes, I've had a theory about all this reform and all this nonsense. And it was about making people who can afford to pay for police, let them do it. Okay. Yeah. Those are the ones who are going to hire private security.
That's right.
And that's what's going to happen. So what do? Our budget, if you're a mayor of a town, in one of these blue states, you don't have to watch your whole budget being wasted on corrections, on police. You can cut the budgets down and let the people that can afford it pay for their own security. And this is happening all over the country right now because people don't feel safe. And in the neighborhoods that they can afford it, if you have money, folks, invest in private security companies. I'm telling you, it's the way to go.
Do you know why? Because you ever heard that saying, the chickens are coming home to roost? That's what's happening, right? The chickens are coming home to roost. You could, a pig is a pig. You put a dress on a pig, you put lipstick on a pig is a pig. There is no way to stop crime other than being aggressive and having police there to stop crime. That's it. You can hire violence interventionists or preventers.
I got something for you. Watch this.
Fucking, whatever pretty label they want to put on it. Police
violence interrupters.
Yeah. Listen, we have to. Bad people do bad things, and the only way to prevent those things from happening or to react to those things from happening is by having men and women that are willing to sacrifice themselves and be badass and fucking pin a shield on their chest and put a vest on and go out there and work.
Well, you mentioned the violence interrupters. For those of you who are in another watching tonight from another country, right? If you don't know what a violence interrupter is, because this is in a New York City commercial, I heard it. When Eric Adams commercial, he's talking about what we're going to do with the police and then conjunction with the violence interrupters. A member of a local community, this is who a violence interrupter is. Members of local community act as mediators to de-escalate interpersonal conflicts before they turn violent. Ask me how that's going to happen. I have no idea. As an alternative to policing, local residents who themselves have been gang members or perpetrators of violence often produce, this is they did a study on it, often produced little to no significant effect.
Do you remember the lady?
That's the program saying it's basically useless.
Do you remember the lady that there was fireworks going on in her neighborhood?
Yeah. And they told her to go out and say something.
She went out as a violence interrupter, right? As a person in the community. Everybody knew who the fuck she was. And she went out there, God rest her soul. And she went out there and she says, hey, stop shooting off these fireworks. And what did she get?
She got killed.
What did she get? She got killed. She got killed. And guess who killed her? It wasn't a white dude.
The neighbor.
It wasn't an Asian. It wasn't a fucking Jew. It was a black person who killed her black ass. I'm sorry. God rest her soul. I don't mean to refer to her in that way. But it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating to me because we're being bamboozled as a culture, right?
This is the original violence interrupters.
That white people are the devil, that white supremacy is the biggest problem in this country. It's not.
This is the original violence interrupters. They had a good idea back in the day.
Oh boy, you don't want to get copyrighted.
Just 2 seconds.
There you go. KRS, Boogie Down Productions, baby.
Self-destruction. Talking about
self-destruction. Ready for self-destruction.
Is that Heavy D? I see.
That's right.
all of them, everything.
That's right. Mikey, you a baby. You don't know about that shit.
My mom does though.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Listen,
I don't want to get the whole episode taken off because we went too far with that.
This is the truth. And the truth doesn't make you racist. The truth doesn't make you self-loathing, right? As Hispanic, I'm told many times by people, even people in my family, oh, you're fake. You think you're white. You hate yourself. You hate your culture. You hate your skin. No. This is the truth. There is nothing in this country that a white person can accomplish that a black person cannot. If you don't put the work in, if you don't put in the sacrifice and the blood, sweat, and tears, you're not going to get anywhere. Bottom line, especially now in this day of pearl clutching, right? And virtue signaling and social justice, you're going to go further than everybody else will if you're black or Hispanic. If you put in the work. And people don't put in the work. They don't want to put in the work. They don't want
that being said, we're at the half hour. Let's give a shout out to the people that are kind enough to join us tonight. You want to do that? Take that over, Mike?
Sure thing. We got
the prodigy.
Sherilyn Schaffner, Joe Murray, of course, Peter Branzo, who was on my show earlier, Jeffrey Crowley, Angela Ang, also on my show earlier, Joey Brooklyn, Polka Dot Suzanne, Patty L., of course, going up the list here, trying to find some other names so I don't miss them. Single Mom of 4, Scott Wagner's also here, and Mrs. Kelly. And I would like to say, if you'd like to ask a question to any of the any one of us, particularly more so Mark and Angel than myself, submit a super chat, and if you can do that, then we'll highlight it and we'll read it and we'll make sure that
questions are the best way, man. Listen. Yep. Give it to us, and it's apples to apples, right? Mm-hmm. You have a question, we answer it, and we don't have all the answers. We don't have all the answers. You know, sometimes it's like, wow, you know, you got a point, but you know, if we do not stop and take stock in ourselves and hold ourselves accountable and stop falling for the bullshit, right wing, left wing, whoever, because all the politicians are full of shit, we're not going to progress as a people, and it's never going to get better. It's never going to get better.
Well, Eric Adams.
Sorry, Mark. I was just going to say on a side note, you played that clip from Channel 4, and that you gave me a little bit of PTSD inadvertently because there are some people at Channel 4 that don't care for me very much, and I'll leave it at that.
It's okay.
All right. Yeah. Well, we mentioned
that means you're doing something right.
Yeah, you can't unless you're getting underneath somebody's skin. You're not doing anything.
That's right.
Really. So we're getting a new mayor. His name is Eric Adams. He's not even in office yet. And he's because he ran. Another thing I mentioned, I don't want to keep talking about all the things that I predicted, but I predicted whoever was going to talk about being tough on crime is going to be the one that won. Well, Eric Adams mentioned that he's going to be tough on crime. I guess that got some people a little nervous. There's a gentleman, I love his first name, Hawk. I wish my name was Hawk. I was
Mr.
Hawk,
Newsom.
Hawk
Mr. Newsom. Yeah,
he's apparently
Black Lives Matter, baby.
He's some name in the Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter, yeah.
Second in control in the New York City, whatever. But he's
Bronx 12 was supposed to bring me on to debate with him, but they got scared. They chickened out.
Really?
Yeah.
News 12?
Because you know what? Yes, because you know what?
Who chickened out? He chickened out?
I'm 6'5" and I'm 265. Okay. I will stand toe-to-toe with Mr. Hawk Newsom, as big and as intimidating as he is, and I will tell him he's full of shit. All right? And Fox News was scared, and they had this whole thing. I did a segment on their channel about anti-crime and street crime because I was in anti-crime in a 4-8 back in the day, and I had a nice segment in front of the 4-8. We did a nice recording, a nice video, a nice segment for them, and they got what they wanted out of me, and then they made promises about how I was going to come back and I was going to go after Hawk Newsom, and they dropped the ball. And I would have called him to the carpet because, number one, physically or otherwise, I'm not afraid of the dude. Number two, he's full of shit. They're a farce. we know, and I said at the beginning of this show, and I'll say it again, I will always support Black Lives. I will never support Black Lives Matter. They're a fucking fraud. They're a terrorist organization. They are bamboozling all our black and brown people in the city. And this dude, Hawk Newsom, is the biggest agitator because he's a big dude with a big mouth.
Well, this is what he said. There will be this. He's talking, by the way, about they're calling it the gun unit because, like, if you don't know anything about the NYPD, they just keep changing names of units. That's it. They just change the name.
Anti-crime is really street crime. Listen, if you think about it.
No. Anti-crime was in the precinct. Street crime was borough wide.
That's right.
Okay.
So, as far as what was I going to say?
He's calling this out and saying there will be blood
there will be riots, there will be fire, there will be bloodshed because we believe in defending the people. I don't know what people he's talking about.
Who are you defending? Because you're not defending law-abiding citizens.
How about giving them some money? Give them some money. All this money you collected.
My aunt still lives on 170th Street off the Grand Concourse in the Bronx. Okay, and who does she want in her neighborhood doing stops and working? She wants anti-crime. She wants street crime. They are not defending the people. They're defending criminals. If you make friends with your criminals, you make enemies of your police. That's it. I don't care where you live.
I think he. Hold on 1 second. I think what is this one? Which one is this one? Oh no, that's not it. No, I thought I had one about that. All right, figure.
Can I read the super chat that Joe Murray gave us?
Which one?
Joe Murray sent a super chat, and he says, for Angel, what are you doing now, and do you live within the city? Public office is calling you, and you just step back into public service.
Yeah, man.
I live in Orange County, New York, and I have every single politician up here, senators, guys that run the budget up here, everybody. They're like, you're the future. We need you in here. I'm not going to do it. I can't. I have too many skeletons in my closet to run for political office. There'll be too many feelings hurt.
Yeah, but I'll give you a secret. You just stand up there on your first day and you get it all out. Okay, remember Eminem, 8 Mile?
Right, yeah. Spaghetti,
when he took away all the guys.
Spaghetti, right?
No. In the movie 8 Mile, when he gets up to the I know I went to boardings. No, he goes, I know I'm white. I know I'm this. I know I'm that. And then he left the guy nothing to say. You left the guy nothing to say.
I will say never say never.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't
never say never, but I'm making good money now in the private sector, doing the job I do. So the money's got to be right, and it's got to be worth it for me. But I've thought about it a few times because I feel like we are going down a black hole as a society, right? And I'm not talking about white people, black people, Hispanic people, everybody. We're going down because I'm not an extreme right winger. Okay, I don't defend police to no end, right? Police are not infallible. Police fuck up. They do stupid shit. We are a microcosm of society. There are bad fucking cops. There are stupid cops. There are cops that are bullies. There are cops that are fucking racists. Okay, there is no way I could sit here and tell you that that's not true. That is true. Okay?
You got to use this for your campaign poster right here.
That's it, right there. Boom, boom, boom. Yankee Stadium.
and this is how you're pulling up to the mayor's mansion right there. Pow!
Right, my Hellcat, baby. Woo!
right there, pulling up in front of the mayor's mansion.
Yeah,
your house is probably bigger than the mayor's mansion in that town.
Listen, it is. But listen, we have to hold ourselves accountable before we point fingers at everybody else, right? The Prodigy, he knows this. I see his podcast. You got to point your thumb at yourself before you point your finger at anybody else. And if we're not willing to do that as a society, right, it doesn't mean I'm racist. It doesn't mean I'm self-loathing. It doesn't mean I think I'm white. It's the facts. If we don't point our thumbs at ourselves, we're never going to fix this problem. We're never going to fix this problem. Because everybody wants cops to have empathy, right? Everybody says police officers need to have empathy. They need to have de-escalation. Where is the empathy for us? I have members of my own family that don't have empathy for me. They don't care that I've had people die in my arms. They don't care that I've been in 2 shootings as a police officer. They don't care that I've resuscitated, dead babies. They don't care that I've been to autopsies. They don't care. There's no empathy for me, but they want us to have empathy for everyone else. They want us to have empathy for criminals. They want us to have empathy for child molesters. They want us to have empathy for racists, right? And racism isn't just, black people don't have a monopoly on being victims of racism. White people and police officers are probably the most marginalized members of society in this country right now. Okay, fucking Annie, it was a redhead fucking kid, and they want to remake it and put a little black girl there. All right, everything is with this woke bullshit, right? Everybody wants to point their fingers instead of pointing their thumbs. If we do not, as a society, start pointing our thumbs at ourselves and looking at what we can do to help, it's never going to get better.
Here's an interesting point right here. The guy Darrell Brooks, who ran over all those people at the Christmas parade in Waukesha, his mother has come out and blamed mental health services, saying that her child has been has had mental illness since he was a child, and how the system failed him. And you know what? I kind of sort of I can only agree with that and say another thing, that it's only going to get worse. And I hate saying this, but it's the truth. One of the benefits of going through the system, as we call it, getting locked up, going to arraignments, going to central booking, getting bail set, staying your ass in jail for a little while, besides for the 3 square meals a day, besides for the roof over your head, you get back on your medication. They ask you at least 5 times before you'll get to central booking. Are you on any medication? What kind of medication are you on? We have all these people who are schizophrenic running around in Manhattan right now, off their meds, with no plan on ever getting them back on meds, because they're never going through the system. Nobody's asking them, are you mentally okay?
Make no mistake. There's a mental health crisis in this country. No doubt about it. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you're being a pussy. You're fucking. No, there's a mental health crisis in this country. But he willingly sat behind the driver's, the steering wheel of a vehicle and drove it and ran over people. Okay. Yes, maybe he has mental health issues, but the bottom line is, right from wrong. You know what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. Okay. When he went on that porch and was asking this guy, oh, do you know what's going on in the city? Do you know what happened? That speaks to his mental state. That speaks to the culpability. That speaks to what he knew he was doing and what he did, his premeditation. Everybody, stop the bullshit. Okay. There are mentally ill people in this country. Mark, you were out there. We were out there on the street. We dealt with homeless people, right? Do homeless people want to be homeless? 95% of them do. They like being in the streets. They like living in the subways. They like being where they like
having independence.
They love
I'm
it.
sure they would like to have a place where they could keep their stuff, though.
Yeah.
Even if it was a single room somewhere on Roosevelt Island. Get rid of all the people there. Give them the whole freaking island. Let them run amok. We'll build a huge fence around it. We'll get a catapult, shoot over livestock, and they can live in harmony, all of them.
Listen,
it'll be like that movie with Kurt Russell. What was it again?
Escape from New York.
Yeah. Escape from Roosevelt Island.
Snake
Lipkin.
There's no perfect answer, right? Because if the 3 of us had the answer, we would solve all the world's problems, right? There are mental health issues. Maybe this guy had mental health issues, bottom line, okay? Yeah, maybe he did. But at the end of the day, I've gone through shit, right? I've been through a divorce. I've felt suicidal. I lost my first partner in the police department to suicide, right? At the end of the day, there's a point inside of your brain, there's a moment where you take stock in yourself and you say, wait a second. This is not right. This is not wrong. This is not good. This is not bad. This is who I am. And I have to take stock in myself, and I got to make the right decision. This guy made a conscious decision to fucking run people over and kill them with his car.
Listen, Gina G says mental illness does not excuse the crime. No way. I'm
Absolutely.
not even arguing it. But instead of giving the guy $1,000 bail, you could look at the guy and say, maybe he's nuts. Maybe he needs to see a therapist. Maybe he needs to get back on his medication. Keep him inside a little while. Let's set the bail a little bit higher, and this thing doesn't happen.
And this goes for everybody. This is not just us saying the guy that ran over people. This is us saying the cop who from Baltimore or from whatever county, right? PG County in Maryland, right? Who was pulling women over and raping them. All right. Same thing. We're not advocating for, just hard rules and hard bail against criminals. We're advocating against hard rule and hard bail against criminals, regardless where they come from. They could be bad cops. They could be bad doctors. They could be bad nurses. They could be bad members of the general population. Bad is bad. Evil is evil. That's why I say all the time, this is not black versus white. This is not Republican versus Democrat. This is not right versus left. This is evil versus good, good versus evil. Period. Punto. Se acabó.
Well, so where does that leave us now?
How about those Yankees?
Yeah, how about the Mets? Forget about the Yankees. The Yankees are going to finish in last place, brother.
Probably.
The Mets, Sterling Marte, Max Scherzer, we were on top, brother. We are the new Yankees, the Mets.
Apparently.
What is going on with this chick with these gun charges in Queens? What is the deal with these fake guns? And
let's talk about that. So Joe Murray,
what's the deal with that?
Joe Murray's handling a case right now.
Joe Murray, I want to do this for Joe Murray.
Yeah, he's handling a case right now that involves a woman who was arrested for having, I think, over 20 firearms in her possession in her home.
And one was real.
Turns out that almost all of them were not. And her ex-husband was some type of producer, and he had the weapon supposedly for rap videos.
Hip-hop videos.
Yeah.
You gotta keep it real,
they all need guns.
Out there, son,
But what happens, you see, the problem, this is the problem with the case, is that once they realize the district attorney's office in Queens that, okay, these are fake guns, we make a mistake, end it. What are we doing? Why do we keep going? That's the problem with the district attorney, because they won't let the fucking thing go.
Hold on, where's the camera? Do you know why?
Why?
You know why?
Why?
Because she's white. Because if she was black or Latino, that case would have been swept under the rug, and there would have been nothing else said about it in the guise of social justice, right? But she's a white chick. They can't let a white chick get away with this stuff.
Joe brings up a good point that there's a 3-year window where you can sue, and that's almost that's coming to an end right now, which is bullshit anyway. If you're wrongfully, she hasn't been convicted, but even charged with a crime, that you should be able to sue regardless.
If they put her on the stand, she's gonna fucking embarrass them. She's gonna embarrass them.
But why not just end it? Say, listen, we're sorry. Here are all your fake guns. Take them back.
If you or I, Mark, were the victim of an assault as police officers, they would have swept that under the rug at the fucking grand jury faster than they sweeping this on the rug. Because they would have said, well, it wasn't really an assault on you. Let's D it down to a disorderly conduct, and everybody goes home and everybody's happy. They would have done that quick if it was us that were one of the victims as police officers. But this, they're trying to make a point. And they're trying to make a point because she's not black or Latino. Because if she was black or Latino, it would be different.
Yeah,
it would be different.
Speaking of that, let's read the commercial here. Let me bring it up. Give me 1 second. This is Joe Murray's case that we're talking about right now that's in Queens. And for fans of the show, we know about Joe Murray. Hit it, Mike.
Well, you know what I like to say? If you are in any kind of a bind, including that woman, hurry and call Joe Murray. Joe Murray will help anybody in the greater New York area. He's doing that right now, as a matter of fact. If you want to reach him, call him up, 646-838-1702, or his cell phone, 718-514-3855. Email, he's got that too. Don't worry about it. He's got you covered. joe@jmurray-law.com. Again, joe@jmurray-law.com. He's a proud supporter of Police Off the Cuff, proud supporter of my show too. So you know what I like to say, folks. If you need an attorney, don't call these ambulance chasers. Hurry and call Joe Murray.
He also has a podcast with his wife Ange.
Girlfriend.
What it's called?
Allegedly Guilty.
Allegedly Guilty. Yeah, I like that. That's funny.
I like that. Yeah.
Allegedly. He's allegedly guilty. That's so funny. But you know what? It brings up see, that's the thing. That's when you need a lawyer, when it doesn't make sense. We know the guns are fake. Okay? You're not going to charge me. We're not going anywhere.
It's a reasonable explanation.
This case is not going anywhere. Just end
Let me ask you guys this. What's the only absolute language in this world everywhere? It's math, right? 1 + 1 in China is the same in New York, in America, in Puerto Rico. 2 + 2 is always going to be 4. That's the absolute language of the world is math. And when it doesn't add up, it doesn't add up. 1 + 1 is 2 all the time.
Joe, thank you for the super chat. He says, Joe Murray says, the Queen's DA wrote in their opposition to my motion to dismiss that she is guilty of endangering the welfare of a minor for allowing her son to play a role in a rap video called Headshot. Okay, how many other kids are in rap videos?
They're shooting in the projects sometimes too. Like those shoot videos.
Charge them.
How about Call of Duty, right?
Yeah.
They had these kids on Call of Duty killing people. What is it? Grand Theft Auto, right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yo, I kill people. Let me tell you something. Me on Grand Theft Auto, I was killing people, man. Killing people.
I'll never forget. I came to school one day and somebody was telling me, because they were up to like 3 o'clock in the morning playing Call of Duty. I kid you not. This is what was said to me. Mike, do you know how many war crimes I committed last night?
Yeah.
Listen, speaking of school, right? What happened? What happened with the school shooter? What happened with all these, like, this is a whole nother topic, right? Yeah. With this kid, the father purchased a gun legally, but he's giving his kid the gun. The kid is filming videos. Then they have a meeting with the principal. Then he goes in and he kills 5, 6 kids. Like, what the fuck is going on? And then it's, always the gun control nuts. It's gun control in this country. It's gun control. Guess what? That gun was legally purchased and it was illegally used. Criminals do not follow gun control laws. They do not follow the rules. They do not obtain their firearms legally. So this is a whole nother Pandora's box that we're going to.
You know what? Did we cover this one before we have to start wrapping up? I just want to give this. I'm wondering. I may have forgot to do this one. Did we do this one?
What do we got?
We are grateful indeed that the 2 New York cops shot.
That was my command. Beaumont Avenue, 187th Street, 48.
One of them is tonight out of the hospital.
Yeah.
But we are not grateful for the gun insanity that is now defining much about life in New York City. I would assume.
Yeah.
Sonia Rincon, live at the scene of the shooting last night in the Belmont section.
That's a 4-8, baby. My alma mater.
Bill, tonight back here at the scene, there is a sense of gratitude that everyone involved in this wild shooting survived. But there's also a sense that something needs to change. The nature of this crime was so brazen, and police officials today blamed policy for a lack of fear of accountability. NYPD officer Alejandra Jacobs is home with her family on this Thanksgiving, released from the hospital late this morning and applauded for her dangerous and heroic actions last night. Her partner, who was also wounded, will have to stay at St. Barnabas at least a little longer.
He's a person that walked through this job, putting a strategy in his head as he walked up to that job. And both those police officers, if you've seen the video, how professional they acted in the worst of circumstances.
The 2 walked up to a man they knew was probably armed and dangerous based on a 911 call. Video obtained by Eyewitness News shows the officers barely had the chance to speak to him before he opened fire. All 3 were wounded in the struggle. The 23-year-old suspect is also recovering at St. Barnabas and will soon be charged. He's identified as Charlie Vasquez, Greenpoint, Brooklyn. He has several prior arrests, including for weapons possession. The gun recovered was reported stolen in Georgia.
It comes down to accountability. You should not feel comfortable carrying a legal firearm. And that's what it comes down to. New York, we do good because we have some of the strictest gun laws in the country. But we got to make sure that those that choose to carry these illegal firearms are accountable for what they're doing.
We're not in Florida where this is the Wild Wild West, but it seems like we're living in the Wild Wild West now, where even the cops is afraid.
That's my old command.
Neighbors here are hoping that changes with the new administration. Police are ready for a change too, according to the head of their largest union.
We need now to do a reset. We need to have a reset in the next administration that says, let's look at everything. Let's fix the problems. Let's do it right. And then let's allow our police officers with authority to go out in the streets and take those guns.
So, Mark, I miss Bill Ritter when he retires. He's a friend of mine.
Mike, yeah. Bill Ritter's Bill. Listen, I got a lot of respect for Bill, but he's a bleeding heart liberal. His daughter is, a lesbian, and she's like all out, and he's like Mr. Bleeding Heart. I love you, virtual signaling, whatever. Mark, you and I know. Listen, I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback. That was my precinct, right? That was the 4-8. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, you pull up to that job and you got your gun out and you're pointing at that guy's face. He's not even thinking of reaching to his firearm, right? He knows that if he goes for his gun, he's going to get fucking shot. Okay? This does not mean that we're brutal. This does not mean that we're an occupying army. This does not mean that we're racist. This means that we got a man with a gun call. This guy fits the description, and now we're going to him, and we are, guess what? We're accosting him. Yeah, we are. As police officers, we're accosting this individual. Why? Because we want to avoid what happened from happening, right? Gun in the face, right? Get on the fucking ground. Show me your fucking hands. The guy would have never tried to reach for his gun. I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking. That's not what I'm doing. I'm thankful that they both came out alive and they survived. But this is the consequence of the politicians tying the hands of police. Police officers do not want to be proactive. They do not want to be aggressive. They do not want to be assertive in the street. And this is a consequence of those policies.
Angela says the quarantine was the reset. But the numbnuts, meaning de Blasio, got it wrong. I agree with her. Sweet Melissa, I'm in Florida. Sweet Melissa, get your ass to New York.
Come to New York. I don't know if she wants to these days.
Well, maybe if you're come to us, we'll go to you. Oh, what happened?
Yeah, right.
Right. Come there in a bulletproof vest.
So what do we got left here, man? We covered a lot. Angel, you plugging anything? You promoting anything?
I want to plug unity. I want to plug love. I want to sound like a bleeding heart father, right? Because I got an 18-year-old son. I got a 22-year-old daughter who doesn't speak to me because of politics. And I have a 27, 28-year-old son who just joined the police department. I want to preach unity.
Does she speak to her brother that joined in the police department?
She doesn't. She's
odd, man.
She went to
that hurts me, man. That hurts me so much.
She went to a school in the city and she was ingratiated and she's been radicalized and she has no use for her daddy, who lives for her. But whole other
it'll come back around.
I hope so.
You know what's go ahead.
We need each other. Don't ask for what you're not willing to give. Don't ask for the empathy that you're not willing to give to your own dad. Don't ask for the empathy that you're not willing to give to your own neighbor. Don't ask for the empathy that you're not willing to give to somebody who just merely disagrees with you on politics or on social justice issues, right? We need unity as a people. We are all of us. We are minorities. As a people, if we don't fix our culture, if we don't fix this social justice bullshit under the guy, this fucking guy de Blasio has fucking shooting galleries in the city where you're allowed to smoke crack and shoot up heroin.
Yeah, I had that picture, man. Damn it. I didn't
you have the right to do that in the city and then normalizing drug use as a culture under the guise of social justice. I'm insulted. Just because I'm Puerto Rican doesn't mean I want to smoke crack or fucking smoke weed or shoot fucking heroin in my veins. Like, how is this social justice? How are you not preaching to our children that drugs are wrong and that this is not the way to go?
Well, for those our audience, we're going to wrap this up quick. But what Angel's talking about is here in New York City. You know how like you get to a bus stop and they have that little overhang? Well, there's little overhangs and they put a paper sign on it, and basically it's a shooting gallery. So if you're
insulting,
doing heroin and let's say it's the three of us doing heroin, and Mike is like, well, forget about heroin. Let's say we're gonna smoke some crack, just the three of us. And Mike is like, yo, I'm right up here, right here. And I'm like, nah. We got to go over to. There's a place where we could smoke crack in the street, but we got to walk there. It's on the corner. We got to get up. And then once we get under that awning, there's a little awning, and we're in front of that sign. We could smoke crack there all day. Nobody could do anything to us. The whole thing is ridiculous. Anyway, I got to plug something before we go. Where are we right now? I had something I wanted. Oh, there we go. Folks, if you're in Northampton, Pennsylvania, I'm coming to you. We're part of this. We're at the Roxy Theater. Me and Gianmarco Sorse and Teddy Daniels will be rocking out this Saturday night, 7 p.m. show. If you're anywhere in Pennsylvania, especially close to Northampton, Pennsylvania, we're at the Roxy Theater. Come. It's going to be great. A lot of fun. I'm going to make you laugh, even if I have to tickle you.
Ooh, so threaten me with a good time.
So, Mike, what are you plugging? You got anything to plug?
I just want to say today I recorded volume 17 of Tales from the Boom Room, Profiles of the NYPD's Arson, Explosion, and Bomb Squad with retired Bomb Squad Detective Paul Yerkou. He was great. That is my last live show for the year. I'll be on hiatus. There is one show that I recorded back in September with Diane Macedo of ABC News. She's got a new book out, so that'll come out after her book has been released. And stay tuned for the best stuff, the Mike DeNuevo podcast, and end of the year best stuff. But other than that, I'll be on hiatus, and I'll see you all in January.
Wait, I just wanted to say one more thing.
He's doing big things. The Prodigy is doing big things, baby.
Yeah, I don't expect anything less.
Mikey Colon, he's doing big things, baby.
Yeah, man, he's up there and he's mic'd in New Haven, bro. Pay attention to his spot, folks. If you haven't already, please subscribe and give a thumbs up to this video. Also, we have YouTube memberships. You could help us out, help with production of the show. We'd really appreciate it.
Big Rican Man on Twitter, Big Rican Man on Instagram. I'm out there. Follow me. I'm all about standing for our police, standing for justice, standing for everybody. That's it.
We got to get him to run for mayor up there.
Big Rican Man, baby. I'll do it.
You run. MC's audio on YouTube, by the way. Just putting that out there. Subscribe.
Thanks again for tuning in tonight and being part of our show, folks. And we look forward to next week. Mike, who do we got? We got a great guest next week too. Coming up.
It's been moved back to December 13th. He'll be on Monday, December 13th. So we're gonna find somebody for the 9th, but the 13th will be former NYPD Deputy Commissioner and Chief of the Bridgeport Police Department here in Connecticut, Wilbur Chapman. So that should be an interesting show.
I ran him over at One Police Plaza. I knocked his hat off him. I swear to God. In like 1998, I hit him and I ran him over and I knocked his scrambled eggs off his hat. I swear to God, true story.
Yeah.
True story. No mistake. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, that's crazy. Well, anyway, folks, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week. It was a great show. Thank you, Angel, for once again coming on. You're always welcome here. I'd love you have you back. You're incredible, man.
Blessing for everybody.
I'm 100% on your side. I agree with everything you say. Mike,
I love you guys.
Thank you for sitting in with me again. And folks, thank you guys for all of you for tuning in from wherever you are. God bless you. And we'll see you next week.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe. I'll see you in January.
Adios. Adios.